The School of the Lady of Baqi, Lady al-Banin, peace be upon her. Chapter 8. وَمَنْ يَخْرُجْ مِنْ بَيْتِهِ مُهَاجِرًا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ ثُمَّ يُدْرِكْهُ الْمَوْتِ فَقَدْ وَقَعَ أَجْرُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ وَكَانَ اللَّهُ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا. One who abandons his home for the cause of God will find many places of refuge in the vast land, and one who dies, after having abandoned his home to get near to God and his messenger, will receive his reward from God. God is all forgiving and all merciful. Surah Mubarakah An-Nisa, verse 100. وَالَّذِينَ هَاجَرُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ ثُمَّ قُتِلُوا أَوْ مَاتُوا لَيَرْزُقَنَّهُمُ اللَّهُ رِزْقًا حَسَنًا وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَهُوَ خَيْرُ الرَّازِقِينَ. Those who abandoned their homes for the cause of God, and who then died or were murdered, will receive honorable sustenance from God. He is the most generous and munificent. Surah Mubarakah Al-Hajj, verse 58. God Almighty has spoken of hijrah, or migration, in several verses of the Holy Quran, including verse 100 of Surah Al-Nisa, where migration is defined as leaving one's home, which means detachment from worldly attachments, and moving towards God and His Messenger. Notably, the word hijrah, used in the mufa'ala form, implies continuity, a continual state of migration. Hijrah signifies movement and rising up, but this movement does not necessarily mean relocating from one place to another. As the leader of the world, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali emphasized, there may be people who outwardly migrate by changing their location, yet in the sight of God, it is not considered hijrah. It is only through migration from sins, meaning attachments and branches of the enemies of Ahlul Bayt, that this reality is truly fulfilled. يقول الرجل هاجرت ولم يهاجر إنما المهاجرون الذين يهجرون السيئات ولم يأتوا بها. Return means detachment from all else and turning back to one's origin and innate nature, the God-centered and wilaya-oriented nature with which everyone has been created. فطرة الله التي فطر الناس عليها. Surah Mubarakah Rum, verse 30. قال على التوحيد ومحمد رسول الله وعلي أمير المؤمنين. It is for this reason that, in another illuminating statement, returning to one's innate nature has been described as returning to the Imam. سألته عن الفطرة لمن هي؟ قال للإمام. Thus, the true reality of return is a return towards the Imam, and hijrah, which is detachment from selfish attachments and movement towards God and His Messenger, in its inner meaning signifies a return towards the Imam. Migration to God and His Messenger and return towards the Imam found their most complete realization in the Karbala of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein and in the blessed being of the tranquil soul, al-Nafs al-Mutma'inna, the radiant moon of Banu Hashem. Ya ayyatuha an-nafs al-mutma'inna irji'i ila rabbik. Surah Fajr, verses 27 and 28. By sacrificing his own soul in the way of God, that is, with complete recognition of Hussein and by his permission, just as verse 58 of Surah Al-Hajj describes migration, when qualified by in the way of God as being rewarded, he brought this hijrah and return to their most perfect realization. The fruit, reward, and recompense of this hijrah, as stated in "Then his reward is with God," was granted to Al-Abbas in its most complete form. It was embodied in the address of Sayyidu Shuhada to him when he said, "Irkab binafsi anta." The reward which verse 58 of Surah Al-Hajj refers to as a good provision, rizq hasana, is paradise. Just as in the verses of the Holy Quran, paradise is described as provision, rizq. جنات عدن مفتحة لهم الأبواب إن هذا لرزقنا ما له من نفاد. Surah Sad, verses 50 to 54. This good provision in the Karbala of Hussein was that very highest paradise, Firdaus al-A'la, which Imam Hussein, on the night of Ashura, after his companions declared their loyalty with the words, "Praise be to God who has honored us with being killed alongside you," showed to them, saying, "Irfa'u ru'usakum wa anzuru." Raise your heads and see your place in the highest paradise. It is evident that this good provision, in its highest rank and degree, was reserved for the flag bearer. As Imam Zain al-Abidin states, the rank and status of his uncle, Abbas, will be the object of envy for all the martyrs on the day of resurrection. Rahimallahu ammi al-Abbas. فَلَقَدْ آثَرَ وَأَبْلَى وَفَدَى أَخَاهُ بِنَفْسِهِ حَتَّى قُطِعَتْ يَدَهُ وَأَنَّ لِلْعَبَّاسِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ مَنْزِلَةٌ يَغْبِطُهُ بِهَا جَمِيعُ الشُّهَدَاءِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. May God have mercy on my uncle Abbas, who, with selflessness and sacrifice, devoted himself in the way of his brother until his hands were cut off. Abbas has a status before God that on the day of resurrection, all the martyrs will envy. Today, the migration to God and His Messenger, which is the same as returning towards the Imam, has taken on its complete form for the people in the Arba'in pilgrimage walk, Mashayat al-Arba'in. Just as in a passage from the Ziyarah of Imam Hussein, going to visit him is described as migration towards him. أتيتك زائرا ألتمس ثبات القدم في الهجرة إليك. In other words, when a pilgrim leaves his home with the intention of ziyarat, it is the tangible embodiment of, and whoever leaves his house, and the steps he takes on this path towards the Karbala of Hussein are the tangible embodiment of migrating to God and His Messenger. With every step taken on this journey, a stage and degree of migration is realized for him. As noted earlier, migration implies continuity in movement and rising up, until, upon reaching the Karbala of Hussein and the Ha'ir al-Husseini, the ultimate goal of this journey and movement, namely, dissolving into the annihilation in the Mawla, is attained. This reality has been described and expanded in a narration from Imam as-Sadiq as follows. إن الرجل لا يخرج إلى قبر الحسين فله إذا خرج من أهله بأول خطوة مغفرة ذنوبه ثم لم يزل يقدس بكل خطوة حتى يأتيه فإذا أتاه ناجاه الله تعالى. A person who goes on a pilgrimage to the grave of Hussein ibn Ali, the moment he separates from his family, with the very first step he takes, all his sins are forgiven. Then, with every step he takes, he is continually sanctified and purified until he reaches the blessed grave. When he arrives there, the exalted God calls him and engages supplication with him. The supplication and conversation of the Lord with the pilgrim is that very status of meeting with God, a return by which the servant turns towards his Lord, and the journey of, indeed, to him we shall return, is thus completed for him. Today, the believers whose hearts are filled with the warmth and love for Imam Hussein, by following the example of the companions of Hussein, who were dissolved in the annihilation of their Mawla, migrate towards him and return to their Imam. This gathering in Arba'in, which is the gathering of hearts around the sacred presence of the Imam, is the realization of Zuhur, the appearance. Just as our Mawla, Al-Mahdi, may our souls be sacrificed for him, describe the gathering of hearts in loyalty to the covenant of wilaya taken upon them, as the realization of the Zuhur. ولو أن أشياعنا وفقهم الله لطاعته على اجتماع من القلوب في الوفاء بالعهد عليهم لما تأخر عنهم اليمن بلقائنا. The leader in the matter of migration and return towards the Imam is the flag bearer of Karbala, the leader of the companions of Hussein, Abbas, whom the companions of Hussein followed in sacrificing themselves for their Mawla, thereby attaining the status of, I am dissolved in your annihilation. And the blessed being of the radiant moon of Hashemites was nurtured in the sanctuary and care of his mother, the lady of Baqi, al-Banin, who, with her word, my sons and all who are under the sky be sacrificed for Imam Hussein, raised and trained in her school the migrants in the way of God and those standing for God's command, presenting to creation the true reality of migration and return towards the Imam. Thus, the teachings of the school of the Lady of Baqi, Lady al-Banin, just as they prepare the ground for the Zuhur, also prepare the ground for the Raja, the return.